Am I the asshole for not telling my friends in advance I was paying? I, 40F, recently had a big birthday and invited several friends to an adult game center. 2 friends told me they couldn't make it and could only meet me for a coffee before. During coffee, they learned I would be paying for all of my guests. They looked visibly annoyed and I could tell that if they knew I was paying, they would have come. I didn't intentionally withhold that I would be paying, it just didn't cross my mind to tell them as it would have only cost them around £20. Am I the asshole for not telling them in advance I'd be paying? NTA, but I would like to point out that some people are saying they know who your real friends are when the reality is that we don't know your friends' financial situations. There have been times when I have missed out on things because I just didn't have the money for it. Maybe, in the future, if you think that your friend can't go to something because of money, you should just tell them privately that you're paying and go from there. I don't think anyone is in awe in this situation, just a lack of communication that can be learned from. Nah, but everyone could have done a little better. Look, if money is tight, it can make a difference. It doesn't automatically mean that they aren't your friends. I'm not saying that's the case, I don't know. But I've had times where $25 was too much to stretch my budget. I also would have spoke up and I've had friends do the same. As in, money is kind of tight right now, so I can't go out to the movies. If you're interested in coming to my place and we can watch a movie here instead, let me know. Something like that. I've had unexpected expenses throw everything into a tailspin, especially medical expenses. And they may not feel comfortable saying so. You know your friends. Just some food for thought and YMMV. Reddit. If you cannot afford it, don't come out. Also Reddit. Those people WHO didn't come out are not your real friends. Nah, you obviously didn't do anything wrong, but I can understand being disappointed if the only reason they declined is because they can't afford it, and it turns out that wasn't necessary. Info. They looked visibly annoyed and I could tell that if they knew I was paying, they would have come. Did they say anything about being annoyed, or was it just a look? Because you can't always control your expression in the moment of reaction. If the visible reaction was the only way they expressed emotion there, nah, because maybe they declined because they couldn't afford the expense, but felt it would be rude to give that as a reason. If they were shitty about it, not the asshole. Either way, you did nothing wrong here. What is their financial situation like? Am I the asshole for having my best friend's parents cancel my plane tickets to visit her for her 18th birthday? I'm an 18-year-old female. My best friend, Sarah, started dating someone online a few months ago, and it has changed our relationship dynamic. We've been arguing frequently due to misunderstandings. I asked her parents if I could fly up to see her for her birthday, and they paid for the tickets despite my offer to cover it myself. However, Sarah told me she planned to spend most of her time on the phone with her boyfriend and might kick me out of her room. This made me reconsider the trip, as I wanted to visit her, not just be a third wheel. After a misunderstanding, she clarified that she would call him during downtime and spend holidays with him, which seemed fair. We hung up, but then her boyfriend texted me. He already had my number, about Sarah having a bad day, and said my uncertainty about visiting made it worse. I felt this was inappropriate and told him to mind his business. Sarah then told me I couldn't speak to him that way and that she had given him permission to text me the message. I was shocked and explained that he crossed a boundary. She responded that her business was his, which made me feel disrespected. I had her parents cancel my tickets, but I expressed gratitude for their support. I felt uncomfortable visiting, especially with the potential for further arguments and disrespect for my boundaries. Sarah defended her boyfriend, saying he was just trying to help and that she really wanted me there for her birthday. She was upset that I won't be there, expressing that it hurt her deeply, especially since she had fought her dad for months to be able to visit me, though he ultimately said no. I reminded her that I had to remind her about my own birthday during a busy time when she was moving. She said it will take a long time for her to get over the hurt of me choosing not to visit. I think I might be the asshole because at the end of the day it is her 18th birthday and I don't want her to hold this over my head. I don't want to be in an environment where I might argue again, and I'd rather focus on my own life and obligations. Given the situation, do you think I did anything wrong? Am I the asshole for canceling my trip to see my best friend for her 18th birthday? What the fuck? Her business is his business? If that's how she feels, fine. But giving him your number without your permission was your business. She gave him permission to text you, but you didn't give him permission or give her permission to give him your number. Block them both and go about your life. Not the asshole. She has made it clear it will suck for you if you go and that she expects you to go anyway. Saying, no, I'd rather not, is a superpower when everything about a situation is telling you not to do something and the boyfriend texting you with her permission is super cringe. I kept in contact with only one person I knew when I was your age and have no regrets. Friends come and go throughout your life and you'll make more friends that are better by focusing on people that respect and genuinely care about you. Your friend is being a total asshole. NTA, she clearly is not keen on welcoming you, but she is gonna be hurt if you don't come? She could have just not mentioned him, and whenever she wanted to talk to him she could have stepped out at a reasonable time to talk while still being mindful of the fact that she has a guest. Her friend does not care about how her actions could affect you but still expects you to keep up your side of the plans. Not the asshole. She wants to have it both ways. Ignore you at her pleasure if you visit, punish you for not visiting if you don't visit. Not the asshole. You are both still quite young and she is clearly head over heels with her boyfriend, but she needs to learn that she can't just shove you onto the reserves bench, and worse, give your number to him so he can have a go at you. You did the right thing. Not the asshole. Your friend wants you as the backup for when her boyfriend isn't around. If they are getting along well, you won't see her. If they are fighting, she'll force you listen to her problems and then tell her boyfriend that you were hating on him. It's a no-win situation. Don't go. Put your friend on a hiatus until she knows how to balance having both a boyfriend and a best friend. Am I the asshole for moving out, stopping the electric and leaving my roommate to figure out the rent? I, 26F, moved into an apartment in Florida with my college bestie, 21F. I let her pick her room, so she took the master with an ensuite, and I got the smaller one. I also furnished most of the place, including putting a 75-inch TV in the living room. A few months in, I got pregnant and decided to go home to give birth, but I kept paying rent since I planned to return. Before leaving, I moved my TV into my locked bedroom. She could still use everything else, but I did this because she gets careless when high or drunk, leaving keys in the door, passing out randomly, etc. I didn't want my things stolen or damaged. About a month later, she mentioned her brother was staying over. He was cool, so I had no issue with it. I was actually thinking of offering him my room since he was only staying a few days. But on FaceTime, I noticed a big TV in the background. I asked, "Oh, you got a new TV?" She said no. Did he bring one? Again, no. Then she pans the camera and says, "Oh, we took yours out of your room." It just goes with the aesthetics. I said, "But my room was locked?" She just shrugged. I used a knife to get in. Like it was nothing. I blacked out, cussed her out, and ended the call. Then I asked my maintenance friend from the complex to check things out. It wasn't just my TV. My room was messy, my locked bathroom had been broken into, and both she and her brother had been wearing my clothes. I was livid. I called her, and she finally answered when I threatened legal action. She said it was selfish of me to put the TV in my room because they had nothing to use. Mind you, we both had TVs in our bedrooms. At that point, I was done. I had my sister and a friend clear out my stuff while she was at work. Anything we bought together, I sent her half the money for, including the dining table, even though I was being petty when I took it. I also disconnected the electricity, didn't want her running up a spite bill, and stopped paying rent. Unfortunately, I lost the baby and returned earlier than planned. When I got back, the apartment was trashed. She had moved out, stopped paying rent, and now the delinquency is on both our credit reports. Years of friendship gone, just like that. No apology, no accountability, no nothing. Just one FaceTime call, and that was it. Am I the asshole for handling it this way? Should I have kept paying rent since moving in together was my idea? I would have asked the landlord how much it would have taken to buy myself out of the lease and have her be the only person on the lease before I went home the first time, paid it, then put all of my things into storage if I didn't want to move them. That would have ended the lease in a way that wouldn't have dinged my credit record. I also would have told the roommate that the power was getting turned off and taken out of my name on a particular date, and she'd need to have it put into her name. Most places, if you act to have the power put into your name by that date, there is no shut-off of power, though she might have to pay a connection or transfer fee. Honestly, you made one mistake when you handled it that way. You are still on the lease, so not paying rent was something that was wrong, and now you will have problems with it because of the credit score. Everything else was handled honestly as best as you could at the time. The only problem is that you didn't want to drop the lease, so I am not sure what you expected her to do with the apartment after you stopped paying your part. She had already shown disregard for property before that. You should have been smarter to handle some of it differently to ensure your own financial security in the issue, but that's a lesson you will now carry with you. Not the asshole. Sorry you had to find out like that what your friend was really like, but it can be good learning experience for the rest of your life. What did you think would happen when you stopped paying rent? Yes, your ex-friend is a major asshole for breaking into your room and using your things, but if you didn't take your name off the lease, what exactly was her incentive to pay more? You already knew she was a user, mooch. You shouldn't have just stopped paying the rent. Your name was on the lease, so you were legally responsible for paying. You should have contacted the landlord to see if there was something you could do. Doing it this way, you shot yourself in the foot. You are the asshole for not breaking the lease, leaving you responsible when you knew your roommate was unreliable. Instead of avoiding the situation, face into it, deal with it and protect yourself. She absolutely should not have broken into and taken your stuff. But you being petty and stopping paying rent was stupid. You were still on the lease and liable for it. You should have contacted the landlord to see what options you had. Am I the asshole getting my food out of the oven while being spoken to? This one is so trivial that I wouldn't really call anyone an asshole here. Just curious to get opinions on who was being unreasonable. I was waiting in the kitchen while I prepared some food in the oven when someone came over to me and wanted to show some Instagram reel. We probably got 5 seconds in before the oven timer beeped, so I asked for a moment to take my food out. The response I got was, "You can't even give me 30 seconds?" I replied, "You can't give me one?" They then walked off in a mood. I didn't pursue it. Not the asshole. It's a frickin' Instagram reel. Were you supposed to let your food burn? Apparently, someone thinks that social media is so important that it can't be interrupted for even a moment, and that person either has control issues or a serious case of main character syndrome. Not the asshole. The Instagram will pause or can be easily restarted. The food can't. Plus, you weren't the one interrupting. Not the asshole. I do that stuff too, by accident though. My aunt will be waiting in the kitchen and I'll find a silly video to show her, so I go up to her. If she's suddenly preoccupied though I just wait until she's done. Like a polite person. Clearly food burns in the oven, stove and telling someone just a second while you check on or remove food is fine. The Instagram person is clearly moody. The problem is really, most cooks have learned through experience that ignoring things like timers means you get distracted and then forget about taking things out of the oven or off the stove until overwhelmed with the smell of burning permeating the house and possibly the smoke detector going off. So, in theory, watching something for 30 seconds isn't really such an issue, except then it is, because you've lost your focus. Moody Instagram person clearly had no patience or understanding of what it takes to cook a meal. Burn food and have to start over or go hungry. Or ask a friend to wait a few seconds. That's a real head scratcher of a decision. Not the asshole.